Okay, the flat 3 chord. The flat 3 is, like other chords we've seen, a major chord that's going to be built off of a note that doesn't belong to a normal major key. In the key of C, 1, 2, 3, if you flatten it, you get to here, which is going to be C, D, E flat. There's another one here. You can do an E flat chord like that. I'm lazy and I don't want to play that chord, so we're going to be in the key of G instead today. So G's are 1. Our 1 and 4 and 5 chords are what? G, C, D, G. So we're well oriented. Good. G. Now, 1, 2, 3, flatten it, you get to B flat. Here's what it sounds like to go from flat 3 to 1. You can hear connections in there. There, I brought some of them out there, but so it's not that they can't go next to each other, but you do want to ask yourself, when I put them next to each other, does it feel like the second one is home? Does it feel, excuse me, like I'm going to the 1 chord? It can. You can set it up so that it does, but I would say less obvious. It's less obvious as a cadence than even flat 7 to 1. Anyway, that's it. It's kind of a rare cadence for that reason, but there it is. Let's go to some other things. Again, within a key. We're not trying to get out of the key. We're not doing modulation, but just stuff within the key of, now the key of G. What else could work? Well, we're going to focus on where to go from it. Landing's more important than a takeoff. So flat 3 to the 2. Yeah. You might know this song from 1992, I think. REM's album, Automatic for the People. The last song, or maybe the second to last song, is something with river in it. Follow the River, maybe? Something with river in it. And the chord progression is basically 1, flat 3, 2, 4, 1, flat 3, and then a kind of a 5. It's like right? For those of you who know the song, you'll know it, but you'll really recognize if I play it in the key they played it in, which is D. So it starts off. They got like an accordion or something, and it comes in. Anyway, it's a nice song. Something with river in it. Follow the River, maybe? Anyway, that's flat 3 going to the 2. Let's go to another chord in the key, the 3. Flat 3 to the normal 3. So, sorry. Dang it. Okay. It doesn't work as obviously. It doesn't as obviously well. Okay, so let's go to the 4. Yeah, works quite well, which is not that surprising. 4 has, again, as we've seen in other videos, been kind of my go-to chord for reorienting ourselves when we come back from something weird, something from outside of the key. Hit a 4 next, you're probably going to be good. And that's certainly true in this case. It also makes, you're kind of going up by a whole tone to another major chord, and it's kind of powerful. It's almost aggressive. Okay, flat 3 to 4. Really works in that way. Let's go flat 3 to 5. Yeah, that works. We're going to look at that again in a little bit. Flat 3 to 6. Yeah, not so obviously. Not so. If you're going for something weird, that's your ticket. But if you want something to sound smooth and easy and not too distracting, well, you're going to have to work to make this work. That's all. 7 is similar to 5/7. Okay, those are the core chords of a key and how flat 3 works with them. Now, I want to give you a couple of ways of kind of framing the flat 3. Just, like all of this theory, the point of it it's not an end unto itself. It's not like, let's have some interesting ideas, connections, like kind of pseudo-mathematical things that we can think about for fun because we're music nerds. No, it's to basically the point of it all is to accelerate your natural pattern recognition facility in the realm of music, right? So we're always just like noticing similarities in the world. And as soon as we put a name on something, like say a relationship between two kinds of things in whatever realm, we're just going to be all the more ready to recognize things like it. Say we call this X here. This relationship, we'll call it X. Okay. Oh, this is like an X thing over here and over here too, right? As we come across these things, we just, because we have something to relate them to, we notice them more, and then it opens up possibilities. So that's what we're doing in the realm of music. I just want to open up possibilities to you, and instead of it being like a closed door, like you sit down at a piano and you don't know how to make music that you like. Well, it helps if you have some go-to things, and then you can expand upon them. Anyway, so flat 3, how can we think about it in a way that helps maybe make it a little more useful to you? Well, remember let's go back to the flat 3 to the 4, because that was powerful and interesting and familiar. Used in music, right? Well, what's going on here? We've got a major chord going to another major chord. They're a whole tone apart. Where in the wild does that occur? By the wild, I mean actually not the wild, but in a major key. In a straight up major key made of 7 notes, as we saw in the first few videos I made of 7 notes, and then you make chords just using those notes, and you end up with 7 chords. They end up being triads, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. You end up with a major 1 chord, a minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and a diminished 7. Okay, those are the chords. Do we have 2 major chords right next to each other, a whole tone apart? Yes, we do, the 4 and the 5. And they're very important chords, any way you slice it. So the 4 and the 5, what if we thought of this as a 4 and a 5? If we did, what would the 1 be? What would this be the 4 of? And this the 5 of? Well, F. F is the answer. Now remember, we're in the key of G. So what relationship does F have to G? Well, we've looked at this already. We looked at it in the key of C, but the flat 7 chord. Remember the flat 7 chord? It's a whole tone below the 1. So this is our 1. A whole tone below it is F. Flower of Scotland, etc. Flat 7 to 1. Okay, so what am I saying here? The flat 3, which is the thing we're talking about, is the 4 of the flat 7. Now, this is only useful if you're familiar with the flat 7 so be familiar with that video already, have watched it, and then this will make some sense and not just be the whatever of the flat whatever, not just some random things that I'm saying. Okay, it's the 4 of the flat 7, which is the 4 of the 4, as we've already seen and explored in that video. So now you've got a stack of 4s. You've got a stack of 4s. That's cool, because they're closely, tightly related. The flat 3 chord, we're in the key of G, sure, but the flat 3 is the 4 of the flat 7, which is the 4 of the 4, which is, of course, the 4 of the 1. So those are going to work well together. They're going to be tight connections between all of them. So we could go, but you could also go, and it kind of sounds like it's in the same world. See what I'm saying? So you can bring the flat 7 into this and it's going to work. It's going to fit. Good to know. Let's look at another thing we saw briefly before. The 4, not the 4, the flat 3 to the 5. That right there. For this, you need to be familiar with the flat 6 video and have that be a thing in your mind that is just a strong cadence and not, again, just some random chord going to the 1. It's a strong cadence, flat 6 to 1. And the flat 3 to the 5 is the same as the flat 6 to a 1. It's the same, they have the same relationship. That relationship I described in that video on the flat 6 with, you could represent the notes of the first chord, the flat 6, by 3 independent dials that are going to have to be moved in order to get to the closest notes of the next chord, the 1, in the flat 6 to 1 cadence. And I was saying, you can see that they're very closely related by the fact that the 1 dial is going to stay exactly where it is. In other words, it's a shared note between the chords. And then the other 2 are just going to shift in opposite directions by half steps, right? Okay, well, the exact same thing is going on here between a B flat and a D. In other words, in the key of D, what's your flat 6? A B flat. So when you hit a B flat, even though we're in the key of G, you could think of it, even just temporarily, briefly, in passing, as the flat 6 of the 5. And then you can kind of hear and bring out that kind of powerful relationship. Now, you might think of that as disorienting because you're really, by it being a cadence, you're really treating now the 5 as a 1. But it's not that problematic because the 5 has such a strong relationship itself to the 1. You can hit it from anywhere, have it feel, as we've already seen in previous videos, as a tonic temporarily, but then still go to the actual tonic, the actual home chord, the 1 chord, and you're good because it's a 5 to 1, and that's powerful, right? So you can go and you're good. In fact, we can even bring out the fact immediately that this is a 5 and not a 1, even though we set it up kind of that way. If you think of this as a flat 6 to 1, which you can, by playing it not just as a straight major, but as a dominant 7th chord, then it shows its nature as the dominant, as the 5 of this. So nice, you got that little chromatic melody. Do, do, do. Those are some things that help you think of the flat 3 chord and hopefully use it. I don't use it all that much, but it is useful, and here are some ways.